Hi there. Hope you all are doing well. And study well also. So here we come to the another passage, and here the passage gives us the direction that answer the following questions based on the information given below. So I do believe that you must have gone through the text. Yet I would like to explore more about it. So this means the passage discusses what? If you see that our lives are increasingly meditated by or mediated by um, algorithmic systems and the racial, gender, economic, and other biases they encode. Consider large language models. These models effectively memorize in language by reading massive collection of digital text to enhance certain automated language tags. Uh, Prediction, summarization, synthetic text generation, and these elements are now a central pillar of corporate investment or in artificial intelligence. The problem, as Timnit Gebru, the co-lead of Google's ethical AI team, explained in a co-authored paper, is that these elements reproduce and amplify the racist, ageist, sexist, albeit extremist, and other harmful ideologies present in the text they learn from, many of which are steeped in the toxic language of online platforms. When Gabru's managers insisted that the paper lacked scientific merit, she spoke out and was subsequently fired along with other members of her team. This is by now a familiar narrative. Corporate behemoths means referring to the giants or called as juggernauts, or you could say that um, somebody or huge, right? So, like Google, fearing the effect on their bottom line, downplay the ethical consequences of their algorithmic systems. And you could say that researchers like Gevru, joined by a vital and growing chorus of voices like academia, journalism, and government, call on us to interrogate, dismantle, and re engineering this system, treating them as the human machine assemblage that they are. Easy to miss in the outcry against what Ruha Benjamin calls the new Jim Code is the intellectual and conceptual terrain opened up by this same critical agenda. The task of dismantling LMS and other black boxes means not only recognizing that they learn to see racial and other harmful imaginaries, but also understanding how they see them. Here is where the problem of elements becomes a learning opportunity for cultural historians or sociologists. Scholars in these fields have long pursued theories and rich description of how racial and other discriminatory discourse operate in societies. If elements do reflect a collective racist imaginary, might historical and sociological theories help to understand how these models are seeing race? Conversely, what might these theories and descriptions learn from the new elements themselves? Such questions are starting to be addressed in literary studies. Recently, several attempts have been made to use some of the components of language models to better understand how racial imaginaries have operated in US fiction across decades and at the scale of thousands of novels. This is reflected in my own work on modern Japanese literature in the values in numbers. Reading Japanese literature in Global Information Age to 2021, I investigate how patterns of racial discourse manifest under conditions of empire, and I investigate how these patterns at another level relate to practices of literary characterization. To study racial representation under empire is to confront a truth. The social dynamics of race are best apprehended not by isolating individual racial groups, but rather in the space of interracial conflict itself. This conflict is embodied in Japan's imperial era, which stretches from the late 19th century to the early post war period. Throughout that time, Japanese people were simultaneously defining themselves in relation to imperialist Westerners and peoples subject to Japanese colonization, Koreans, Chinese, and various indigenous others. So, what does the passage actually discuss? The passage discusses the, you could say that growing influence of algorithm system, particularly large language models, large language. models, that is known as a LMS, right? So in various aspects of life. These elements, while efficient in language related to task, are also, you can say, prone, or we talk about danger, right, to encoding biases present in the text that they learn from, leading to reproducing harmful ideologies. The firing of, you can say, Timnit Gebru. So we could find out Timnit Gebru, so a prominent figure in the field, for speaking out against these biases, highlights the ethical dilemmas surrounding algorithmic systems. The passage also calls for a critical examinations, critical examination, and re-engineering of what, of these systems to address their harmful harmful consequences, emphasizing the need for interdisciplinary collaboration to understand and, you could say that, mitigate biases. It also explores the potential of cultural historians, sociologists, and literary scholars in studying racial representations, and you could say that uh, discriminatory discourses reflected in algorithmic algorithmic systems, isn't it? So that's what you would find out, the soft ideas pertain to this whole text. And if you talk about the main ideas, so the main ideas is the same. Algorithmic systems such as large language models play a significant role um, in various automated language tasks, but also encode biases present in the text they learn from. So we talk about the example of Timnit Gebru's firing from Google's ethical AI team sheds light on the ethical dilemmas surrounding algorithmic systems and corporate attitude towards addressing biases, isn't it? There is a call for, you could say that, critical interrogation critical interrogation and re-engineering of algorithmic systems to mitigate biases and harmful consequences. Interdisciplinary collaboration, including cultural, you could say that, historians, sociologists, mm, and literary scholars, is crucial in understanding and addressing biases in this algorithmic systems. So, the style of this particular passage, what would be the style? The passage actually employs a scholarly and informative tone, right? Informative tone, presenting, you could say that, complex ideas and concept in a clear and straightforward manner. It incorporates references to prominent figures like we will talk about Timnit Gebru. Um, Additionally, it adopts a narrative style, right? If you talk about that, it's a uh, kind of a narrative passage, you can say. Narrative style it adapts, presenting a sequence of events, you could say that, arguments, to build a coherent passages, right? Or coherent discussion, you can say, on the topic, so not the passage. So next is called as a tone. If you talk about the tone of the passage is what? Critical one. And critical, not only critical, but also urgent. Critical and urgent, conveying the importance of addressing biases in algorithmic systems and the ethical implication of their widespread use. Widespread use. It also reflects a sense of advocacy for interdisciplinary collaboration and critical engineering into the social impact of technology. So let's jump to the question. So, what does the question point out? What is the primary concern raised by Timnit Gebru regarding large language models in the passage? So, we talk about the problem as Timnit the Gebru, the co-lead of Google's ethical AI team. So, what is the primary concern raised by this man? Now, if you look into this option, so the first option stated the potential misuse of elements in corporate investment. So, according to the question, ask about the main worry expressed by Timnit Gebru regarding large language models as discussed in the passage. So, option one suggests that, you could say that concern is about a potential misuse of LMS in corporate investment. However, this is not the primary focus, you could say here. Um, in that case, you can eliminate this. So this is not the primary focus of Gavru's concern. So option two stated the memorization of toxic language by LMS during language tasks. So yes, this could be the correct one, because as far as it is given in the first paragraph itself, that correctly identifies the primary concern raised by Gavru, which is the memorization of by toxic language, toxic language toxic language task. Gavru highlights how elements reproduce and amplify harmful ideologies present in the text. They learn from including racism, sexism, and you talk about albeit and extremist, isn't it? Um, so that's why you consider that option two would be the most appropriate option, or more appropriate than option one. But look into the option three and four. Option three stated the lack of scientific merit in papers authored by the ethical AI team. So option three suggests that Gibru's concern is about the lack of scientific merits in papers authored by ethical AI team, which is not accurate actually. Where Gebruch's concern are centered around the biases encoded in LMS, not the scientific merit of specific papers. So hence three is eliminated too. So option four, the ethical consequences of algorithmic systems downplayed by corporate giants. So option four implies Gavru's concern is about the ethical consequences of algorithmic systems being downplayed by corporate giants, while this is related to the what? Broader context, isn't it? It is related to the broader context. It does not actually capture the specific concern raised by Gebru, right, regarding LMS. Therefore, the you can consider option four is also eliminated, because the most appropriate answer option we find out two, right? This one is indicating generic, or you can say that broader context. So hence you eliminate this option four. So one, three, four are eliminated. So the correct answer is option two, as it accurately reflects the primary concern expressed by Timnit Kabru in the passage. Hence the answer should be two. Right. Hope you understood this. That's all. Thank you. Let's move to the next question.